So I see all the time on this app people making videos of how bad the economy is and how unaffordable rent, groceries, healthcare, people can't find jobs, and all that is legit. But there is something that bothers me, and it's people in the comments that say, should have voted better. But is voting the reason that we're in the position we're in right now? No. There is not a political solution to a spiritual problem. And America is in the position she is in right now because of sin, greed, and corruption. And until America repents and puts on sackcloth and ashes, there will be no more America. America is going to fail. America is going to crumble. And voting is not going to change the situation.
Yeah, because voting ain't going to change because of the fact that this country has to be destroyed. It's already prophesied. With that, like say, call on Allah, Yahweh, Bashram, Yasharahla, Bashram, Kakadash, Taban, Sakata, Asbury, Millstone, peace, citations, hopeful elect, Shalom, and the title's lesson is going to be America, aka Babylon, is set for destruction and can't be healed. So, first scripture that comes to mind, bring out the first precept. This is Jeremiah 50 verse 13. It says, because of the wrath of the Lord it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Right. And you see, the thing is that when it's coming to Babylon, which is America, all the nations around is better basically not want to have nothing to do with this land anymore, you know. And this country has been in the power seat for so damn long, you know, and other nations are getting tired of it. And now it's really funny to how Americans, and mostly Edomite Americans, so to say, like so-called white people, and then even you got these heathen nations that come over here, you know, they really benefiting off of America, you know. Like, they're able to set up their stores, they're able to make merchandise in this land. They offer Jake, and Jake been, let's say, they could be born in this country for quite some time and still have it harder than the other nation, especially have it harder than Esau to go as far as like getting opportunities such as like trying to open up businesses and things of that nature, you know. And now you're starting to see a lot of people suffering, you know, with the inflations, like the woman was saying in the video. You know, you got the inflation's rising up, everything is becoming expensive, insurance is getting expensive, you know, just prices everywhere is going up. So technically, you know, the next step will be hyperinflation, because everything is really just spiking up at this point, and inflation is like, I believe, like 50% higher than it used to be, and it's really getting ridiculous at this point. But this is the first precept I should have brought out, because she, you know, made the point clear with what she was saying for under a minute. So now Jeremiah 51, we'll start at verse 7. It says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is sudden fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. So yeah, I remember one time I saw on social media that there was some Jake that said some shit like, the American dream is to move out of America. Yeah, because it's like, America ain't what it used to be anymore. You know what I mean? And now you have it to where other countries are starting to pay Jake to go over there to repopulate, you know, with their women. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got countries like in Asia, like Japan, paying men to really repopulate, to help with the birth rate, so you have it to where like other countries are really wanting Jake, and they were willing to pay Jake to live over there and literally like build a family over there with the other nations of women that's dwelling in those countries. You know what I'm saying? Just to increase the population and the country census. In other words. Yeah, and there's some countries in Europe that's doing the same thing. We see over here in America, it's like it's the polar opposite. Having kids, it's like the government don't help you with that shit. You know what I mean? Having kids is like a curse, because it's like in this country, you see the inflation, it just keeps increasing, and then it's like we got more expenses on top of it, And there's even a study that shows that people that graduate college are less likely to have a child than people who have a high school diploma. So it's really dumb for this place. This country is so backwards. It's like, in ancient times, I don't think there was ever such a place, in history where having children will be considered as a curse. You know what I mean? Like, back in ancient times, people had access to, a house. They had access to like some acres of land. Their money was tied up with gold and silver. They actually had, actual assets, actual wealth. Even somebody who was considered as poor may have the least of it, but it was still, at least to some extent, they were still alright, because at the same time they had their own space. And the reason why people are in this society in America is like literally, out of their mentals, because it's like the reason why these people are bugging out and losing is because it's like at this point it's like you're just living to work like a slave, and it's like you don't really own anything, and it's like you're one payment away from basically losing every possession that you have in this country, which that could be your car, that could be your house, and so forth. Whatever you took out a loan to pay for XYZ, it's like, damn, that's how this place is hell, man. And thanks to the corrupt financial system that was created by the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, this is all the issues that's being played out on this earth, mainly in America, like when it's coming to the financial system. That's why people really starting to see, everything is going up, and everywhere it's like they just want to fine you. They want to just increase the taxes, and it's like it's hard to find job opportunities and things of that nature. And I find this spiritual to how, she went as far as saying in the video, which, she could probably be a Jake, but that's her only hope, of course, because it seems like she's really stressed out with how America is, and honestly, that would be her only hope, that she could potentially be an Israelite. But the thing is that she mentioned how it's a spiritual problem, it's not a political problem, on to why this country is going down the way it is. And you see that this is the same way how ancient Rome fell. It's like you got corrupt leaders. It's like it's just a whole bunch of dysfunction within the political system, in the corporate world in general. It's just this whole society ultimately is anti-Yahawashi, and any society that's anti-Yahawashi is gonna fall. You know what I mean? Like Esau pushes, nothing but death. You know what I mean? And then at the same time, it's like you got a lot of shit that go on in the corporate world that just don't make fucking sense. And this society is basically a backwards ass society in general. You know what I mean? people try to make sense out of shit that don't make sense. And when it's coming to a lot of corporations, there's certain things that you question about the shit that goes on. Like, how come nobody answers the phone? You know what I mean? When the phone lines don't work. And how come, like, companies use cheap technology sometimes and have limited tools for you to do the job right, and you're understaffed. And then it's like when you make certain mistakes, they want to be quick to fire you, you know what I mean, and replace you with somebody else. Shit like that just don't make sense, and it just doesn't add up. But this is Babylon for you. And I remember the 3 things she mentioned was, you know, the situation that America's in at this moment is because of sin, greed, and corruption. And you see, that's the thing when it's coming to this financial system that Esau has set in place. You know, it's all about how much these companies can make off of you. They don't really care about you know, how the employees are doing. They only care about their financial progress. And this is going into how, you know, corrupt the monetary system is in the scripture right here. And it says in James chapter 5 verse 1, "Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth." Right. And you see, the thing is that, you know, you have it to where you got not only our people, which, you know, of course our people come first, you know, first and foremost, starting with the elect, you know what I mean, which is like the cream of the crop of the Israelites. And then, you know, you just got the whole nation of Israel in general that's like in captivity to this day, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like you have it to where, you know, we working our asses off, right? 24 well, I'll say like 9 to 5, you know what I mean? And you got Jake's really pushing OT in the, you know, common day cotton field in the plantation, you know what I'm saying? Like, you working these for these companies, doing all type of hard labor, and then it's like at the same time you working for crumbs, you know what I mean? Because it's like the money's inflated and you hardly making anything. And it goes back to what that wicked ass Edomite said, Charles Schwab, that you will own nothing and be happy. You know what I mean? And, you know, that's one of the most wicked statements that he said. And that's pretty much the goal of the elites in general, is just to, which is part of the 10 Planks of Communist Manifesto, you know, to abolish, you know, private property. It's like they want to keep everybody poor. You know what I mean? They always want to own something and have something to own over the masses. And the funny thing is, you got Esau that's talking about the low-level average peon Edomites, you know, your average Joe, your everyday, you know, 6-pack of beer, July 4th celebrating ass Edomites, you know, that wear the American flag, that's probably served in the military, you know, drive their pickup truck, you know what I mean, smoke a cigarette and cooking on the damn grill. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got these fucking Edomites that you know, they're starting to feel the pressure, you know what I'm saying? And they jacking Black Lives Matter, they jacking that we the same people, you know, like talking about, you know, the so-called Black Hispanic Native Americans. They trying to make an alliance with, to, you know, basically feel some sort of sympathy for their situation, because, you know, they are starting to go through some of what our people have been going through for quite some time, which is like, we've been going through all type of oppressions for over 500 years, basically, until this day. And we don't feel no fucking way for you damn Edomites. We don't give a fuck, because of course, like, it had to take y'all, to this time period that we in, to where shit is hard for y'all, and that how you see how your upper echelon fellow Edomites just pretty much left you comfortless, and they don't give a fuck about their own at this point, and they only caring about the ones that's on their level, and their closest family members. Now it's like it took all of that, and then inflation, and for society to even just keep getting harder and harder as we go on through the years, before the Lord comes back, just for y'all to understand that that y'all should have been caring about the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, the Israelite situation, for a while. But of course, this energy wasn't shown when we was in hardcore captivity and during the time of segregation, and even to this time period where, let's say, us growing up before we came into the truth. You know what I mean? That how we was left comfortless at one point. So we really don't give a fuck about you Edomites and your situation. We really don't feel bad for y'all. But let's continue on. It says, verse 5, ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. Right. And that goes to all you Edomites at one point, yeah. When America was at its peak, and I'll say the Edomites that were, let's say, at least like maybe poor to middle class to some extent, had some sort of like, benefits, yeah. Going from, let's say, the 1900s even to the early 2000s, y'all were enjoying it at some point. That white privilege really carried y'all so far. But you see, here it is now. That white privilege is only meant for certain classification of Edomites, and let's just say that there's a decent amount of y'all that's starting to lose your white privilege more than ever, because there's something called, let's say, riches to rags, and some of you Edomites are experiencing that, where you are going from being upper middle class or middle class to poor, and maybe even being rich to poor. You know what I mean? That's also possible too. And you see, the thing is that y'all been up for so long in society, and y'all just going down. And if y'all always been down your whole life, and you had it bad, which some of them, don't get me wrong, there's some Edomites that always been so dirt poor, broke, that they hardly had access to white privilege or never had it at all. The only access to white privilege they had was that, okay, they could probably, kill a black a Jake and get away with it, depending on how good they, staged the lie, how good they set up the homicide, But other than that, they didn't have no, let's say, there's some Edomites that didn't have that white privilege of gaining, like, let's say, a financial leverage in the society, because it's like they let it go to waste. You know what I mean? And hey, well, that's too bad. Should have been on top of your scamming, should have been on top of your wickedness. You see, I mean, you're considered as the wicked for, and the Bible calls you the wicked for a reason, and you should have been using your benefits as a so-called white man as much as possible, by using your white privilege to do all the wickedness that y'all usually get away with. And this is verse 6. It says, ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. Right. So none of you Edomites are innocent, and all of y'all are responsible for the bloodshed of the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and you're gonna pay for it. Because believe it or not, you are your forefathers coming back in the reincarnation. And this is Habakkuk, chapter 2. I'll start at start of verse 4. It says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." Yeah, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all take these shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Yeah, because the thing is that you see that thick clay is going into, like, that debt, and that goes into that Hebrew word abijah. So, because clay is that debt. So it's like, when you think about like putting clay on your hands, it's like it sticks onto your hands and it's hard to wash off, so it's like, yeah, it makes your hand dirty, and it's like pretty much similar to that bacteria you're trying to wash off, off your hands, before you deal with something that, like something like food or something like that, but like before you eat, you want to wash your hands, make it clean and shit like that from all that bacteria, and point I'm making with the clay is like that clay is like that that debt, as it says, in the Hebrew word abijah. But nonetheless, this country is pretty much an increasing debt. And how's that debt always accumulating more and more and skyrocketing to a whole nother level every single second as I speak? When you look at that world debt clock, it's always debt adding up, because you see, when they remove the gold and the silver standard from the dollar, that's causing, and plus they're pumping more fictitious money into existence, that's just going to create more debt and basically devalue the dollar, making the dollar less, that's newly printed, less valuable than the dollar that was previously printed. And you see, and that just keeps the debt going up and up and more, and that's what keeps the value of the dollar going down. And ultimately, it's an agenda to basically destroy and crash the dollar so that they could push about the MOTB, the digital system, as it goes into Revelation 13:16, and let me bring out this point. In verse 7, it says, "Shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, that and thou shalt be for booties unto them." Right. So yeah, and that's basically the other nations, rising up with their currencies, like with the BRICS. There's more nations starting to do that. Even JP Morgan is starting to, pretty much throw away the dollar at some point. And I did a video on that. So yeah, so this is really getting serious. And now you have it to where major companies in America, they're gonna start doing the same thing, because of the dollar is just really getting corrupt. And verse 8 says, "Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of the men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein." Verse 9, "Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, and that he may be delivered from the power of evil." So basically, you Edomites gonna have a lot to pay for in America, just to say. So you're not gonna get away with this. And yeah, this country is not gonna be healed, as it's prophesied. This country is gonna be destroyed, because first off, you shedded the blood of the Israelites, which are so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. And at the same time, it's like scriptures did say in the book of Numbers that how, the blood, of course, the one that sheds the blood, the land can't be cleansed until that person's blood is shed, the one who sheddeth blood. And that's the thing. So the Lord is going to basically destroy this land, and before he destroys this land, America, he's going to pretty much pull that agenda from Isaiah chapter 63 verse 1, you know, pretty much like almost like a couple of verses from that chapter, you know, starting from verse 1, on how the Lord is going to basically shed you Edomites blood, you know, how it's going to be a lot of bloodshed against you Edomites, to where his garment is going to be basically like a red garment, you know, symbolic to showing how much blood is going to be that the Lord is going to shed, you know, to the point where it's going to be like he was in a wine press, as it said in the scriptures. So yeah, but that's it on that. But just thought I brought that out to the spirit. And with that, I'd like to say, call on Yahweh Bashem Ashab Bashem Kakdash, the Barnes Apostle Elsewhere Millstone, peace, I teach you, Shalom.